it can't be worth anything. That's what people think these days. So recently I was giving a series of talks in Sydney. And the person who was actually running the talks, I was giving these talks, and their son went off to the Gold Coast. It was one of these motivational psychologists from the US. They were charging, I think, $7,000 for the weekend. You stupid child, you could have come to your mother's centre and have seen the better things for free. But no, because it was $7,000, they thought it must be special. $7,000 just for one weekend. Crazy. So anyway, I forgot what the question was, but it's something to do with that anyway. Oh yeah, my books, yeah. They may be available soon. They'll come to you. Dear Ajahn, you told us it is good to watch the breath outside the body. Could you please kindly share with us how you watch your breathing during meditation? What do you use to resemblance your breath outside your body? I didn't say outside, but disconnected to any body. So you're not watching the breath at the nose. You're not watching the breath at the stomach. You're not watching the breath anywhere in the body. You're just watching the breath. So it's a feeling of the breath. It's like when you're angry. When you're angry, where is it located in your body? It doesn't really matter. Don't look for it. When you're angry, you know you're angry. When you're happy, you know you're happy. When you're breathing, you know you're breathing. Who cares where in the body it's located? So I just watch the breathing without pinpointing it on any part of the body. And that was very helpful for me, because if the meditation is supposed to encourage the body to disappear, my body disappeared very quickly. Because I didn't have any link with my consciousness to the legs, the stomach, the nose or the head or anywhere. So body disappeared very, very quickly. So you're just watching breath, breathing in, breathing out. You couldn't feel any part of the body. That's how I used to meditate, and it was very helpful. So I could always watch the breath, because the breath was always happening. It was happening somewhere. So that's where I watched. Just the same, the old simile. If you've got a detective, a secret agent, and they're following a suspect terrorist, if the terrorist goes into the temple, the detective has to follow it into the temple. If the suspect goes into the bank, then the detective also has to go into the bank. If the suspected terrorist goes into the ladies' toilet, then the detective has to go into the same toilet. It doesn't matter where it's supposed to be. The detective has to go where the suspect goes. So in that simile, the suspect is your breath. You are the detective. Mindfulness is the detective. The mindfulness has to follow the breath. Wherever the breath goes, that's where you go. It's not to say, oh, the breath should be at the tip of the nose. It's not to say the breath, oh, it should be at the abdomen, because sometimes it's not. Sometimes your breath might be at your ear hole. Who cares? It's not supposed to be there. That's weird, but if that's where it's going to be, that's where I'm going to watch. That's only an example. I never breathe through my ear hole, but just in case it happens. You know what I'm talking about. So wherever it is, that's where you watch it. And after a while, you don't care. That perception of the location in the body is taken away. And with it, the perception of the body disappears. And you're free. Ajahn Brahm, how to behave as a leader? What attitude should one display as a leader? Being too kind, the subordinates tend to take advantage of their leaders and will not do their jobs properly. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. How to be a leader? You have to lead by example. As a leader, especially a Buddhist leader, you should be strict on yourself and kind to others. Most people are kind to themselves and strict on others. No, be strict to yourself and kind on others. Be compassionate, and then you lead by encouragement. When other people know that you're working for them, they will work for you. That's how I lead. I really give to others, and other people think, my goodness, Ajahn Brahm's giving so much, we want to help him. So I encourage people, lead by example. If I want other people to give, I should give. If I want other people to be kind, I must be kind. If I want other people to meditate, I must meditate. If I want other people to be peaceful, I must be peaceful. If I'm angry at you, and I'll tell you to be peaceful. What sort of example is that? So you find that you get much more out of your disciples, out of the people who work for you, with encouragement than you do with force. If you're a forceful leader, they may do what you say just out of fear. But when you leave and you go away, then, okay, the boss isn't there, we can do whatever we want now because we won't get caught. If I hadn't been leading by example, by compassion, in my monastery in Perth, I'd be so afraid to leave it. Because I've encouraged those monks in Perth. I know they're from inside. They're very kind, they're peaceful, they're good, and they're wise. That's why as a leader I can take weeks off. A good leader, a good CEO, can always take Friday afternoon off to play golf. What I mean by that is if you're a good leader, you don't always have to be the control freak. You can delegate, and you can trust those people to do the right thing. If you're a bad leader, always dominant, creating fear, you can never take time off. Because you're afraid if I'm not there, things will go wrong. You're a control freak. A good leader delegates. Okay, next question. My goodness, there's no end to questions. When will they end? Ajahn, can someone who is gay or lesbian progress in meditation until enlightenment? Yes, you can. A gay or lesbian can do as much as a heterosexual. It's not whether you're a heterosexual or a homosexual, it's how you're a heterosexual or how you're homosexual. Because there's many gay disciples of mine in Perth. They got committed relationships, good meditators, they keep precepts, they give generously, they're great people. And there's some heterosexuals, they sleep with other people's wives, they drink, they're mean, they're cruel, hardly ever give a donation, but they ask for all the help. So it doesn't really matter whether you're heterosexual or homosexual, it's how you practice that way, with compassion and wisdom or not. 2, did they do something wrong in their past lives to be born like this? We've all done something wrong in our past lives, otherwise we wouldn't be born. So it's not just them, it's you as well. So I remember getting this letter some years ago from someone I think it was in Johor. They said they just found out their son was gay. What should I do? I said, now listen, how many times have you heard the chant of loving kindness? May all beings be happy and well. The door of my heart's open to everybody, no matter who they are. Isn't a gay person a living being, a sentient being? Can't you open the door of your heart to them as well? That's your son, for goodness sake. Love your son for who they are. And never be embarrassed about who your son is. Be proud of your son. Okay, time is coming up. Okay, dear Ajahn, this is not gays, this is about lay people. Dear Ajahn, can a layperson be enlightened? Yes, they can. It's up to you. The doors of enlightenment are open. Do you want to come in? It's that easy. The doors of your prison are always wide open, but sometimes we don't want to go out. Some people, it's like that. They've been in prison for many years, and then they get their sentence is ended, and they say you can be free now. They don't want to go out. They're so used to prison. They're afraid of freedom. Just like you. You've been in the prison of the defilements for so long. Greed, hate and delusion, you're comfortable with them. Sort of. Okay, they're a bit painful sometimes, but you're used to them. The idea of freedom, that's scary. Which is why when you get into deep meditation, that's scary. What are you afraid of? You're afraid of freedom. So, you can be, if you want to. 2, what is the place of Dhutanga austerity practice in the Buddha's path? Is it prerequisite for enlightenment? Does it enhance psychic powers? You can do like these ascetic practices for a monk, but they're not that ascetic. They say like 1 meal a day in one bowl. You still eat. It's not eating. The Buddha said if you're not eating, that's going too far. Sometimes it may be not laying down at night, but you don't do it all the time. Sometimes you do these things, sometimes you don't. It's little things like as a monk, whatever hut he's given, he just stays in that hut. In other words, it's just not to have too many desires, that's all it is. But some people, when some monks is heavily, highly motivated, mostly Western monks, especially American monks, they read the 13 Dhutangas. They think, right, I'm going to do the whole lot. Until you explain that two of them is, one is staying in the forest, the other one is staying in the open air. You can't do both at the same time. They say, it doesn't matter, I'll do it. Because it's like spiritual materialism. It's pride and ego. I'm going to be the toughest monk ever. I am going to be the toughest yogi that Chempaka Lodge has ever seen. Other people might sleep, but not me. Look at those fat meditation cushions everyone's got. Look at mine, it's thin. In fact, I'm not going to use a meditation cushion. I'm going to use broken glass. See how tough I am. Now, some people think that's the way to enlightenment. This ain't the way to enlightenment. That's stupidity. So, if you have like really gross defilements, if you're really gross, then sometimes the teachers have to use gross methods. If you're refined methods. So it's only the real gross monks need those Dhutangas. And if you have to do those Dhutangas, then obviously you've done. This is a bit sort of cruel of the Buddha, but someone asked him about these Jain ascetics. Because these Jain ascetics, they were standing on one leg all day, facing the sun, going naked, eating so little. He said, what do you think about those? And the Buddha said, you've got to respect them because they've got so much endurance. They go through so much pain. But listen, if they're enduring that much pain, they must have done some terribly bad karma in their past life. So in the same way, if you have to do those Dhutangas, you must have done some very, very bad karma to have to endure those those Dhutangas. Is Vimokkha Samapatti the same as Nirodha Samapatti? It's not really, because the Vimokkhas are the jhanas. So if you get first jhana, that's one of the Vimokkhas. They're called Attavimokkhas, the 8 liberations. So any of the jhanas is Vimokkhas, but Nirodha Samapatti is just one of the Vimokkhas, one of the freedoms, the highest of them. So Vimokkha Samapatti is not the same as Nirodha Samapatti. Nirodha Samapatti is one of the 8 Vimokkhas. Vimokkha means freedom, like moksha in Sanskrit. Vimoksha is freedom. And it's a great word, freedom. It's the liberation of the mind. It's the liberation from greed, hate and delusion. You're out of the prison. You're free at last. Why do we want to be free? Because we're attached to attachment. We've been attached all our life. We don't want to let go. We don't want to let go of our money. We don't want to let go of our parents and our children. We don't even want to let go of our pain. Strange thing. Oh my goodness, look at all these ones left. It's okay, I'm going to let go of the whole lot. So we don't want to let go. There was this story, one more story. The story of this guy who was getting very, very sick in hospital. This is many, many, many years ago in New York. He was getting so sick and in constant pain. Whatever the doctors did, whatever they injected, they couldn't get rid of his pain. And his daughter was, she was a disciple of one of these Hindu gurus. And of course, her father just didn't want anything to do with these crazy people from India. But nevertheless, she came to visit him. She brought her guru with her, maybe to teach something to her father. As soon as the father saw this strange-looking Indian with the long hair and the wild eyes and the rags for clothes, he said, get him out of here. But he wouldn't leave the room. He just stood on the end of the bed while the daughter talked to her father. And the guru, while the daughter was speaking to the father, thought, well, I've got nothing else to do. I might as well give him a foot massage. So he started massaging, without permission, this very, very sick person's feet. while the sick person was talking to his daughter, he suddenly stopped. For the first time in weeks, the pain had disappeared. He was absolutely free of pain. He couldn't believe it. So he looked at this Indian guru and said, "Get away from my feet!" He would rather have his pain than have his theories and philosophies compromised. He was attached to his theories, so he'd rather have his pain than have something he couldn't understand and be free. That's what attachment is sometimes. Sometimes we'd rather have our pain and our problems than be free. Because freedom is just, sometimes we don't know what to make of it. Good story. So please, if all your pains and suffering disappears, don't think, what's happening? Allow it to be. When the prison door opens, walk out. Okay, so that's enough for today. And probably for tomorrow as well, by the look of it. Okay, so thank you for the question. Maybe, because we've got so many questions, I'm going to ban questions today. So you can't write any questions for the next 24 hours because I've got enough for tomorrow. So no questions for the next 24 hours so I can have a chance of answering the ones here. And now we have meditation, we have interviews. The doors of the deathless are open. So walk through. And then when you walk through, if you become enlightened, you will not need any more questions answered. You will not need any more interviews. And you can give Ajahn Brahm an easy life. So please, there's so many interviews, there's so many questions. Please become enlightened out of compassion for me. Okay, carry on.